Scorpio. Now coming out of our season here and moving into Sagittarius for the last part of November, you have the keeper of the scales, fairness and balance. Now this did show up as an ally, not a challenge, which is good, especially considering that you have chaos and conflict. Now, when you're looking at the keeper of the scales, one of the things that it talks about is responsibility for your actions. Now, this could be straight up you needing to take responsibility for chaos and conflict that may be created here. But I also look at that as, your responsibility to make things fair and balanced. Now, for those of you who find yourselves at, disagreement with another person or cross purposes, as chaos and conflict talks about, you're going to have to be the one that steps up to make things fair and balanced. But I also have this feeling of something that didn't, come into your life to intentionally create it, but for you internally, it may be creating this kind of conflict. So then the question becomes, okay, is it fair and balanced for me to even pay attention to this? So this could be something external. It could be because of a person, but that could be because you're focused on them. But it causes chaos in your life. You see what I'm saying? And then I look at fairness and balance and think you're going to have to discern whether or not this is someone that should be in your life, or it could just be a situation. Now, on the legal side of it, you may have like a hiccup in the road here, so to speak, but, that being the ally for you with the keeper of the scales is saying that things will be resolved. But I think that for a lot of you, it's going to be your responsibility to get control over whatever chaos and conflict is going on right now. And it may not even have anything to do with you, period, right? Now, since we started the month with the dark mirror, I figured I'd take an opportunity here and use Moonology to give some advice for the end of the month. And Scorpio, you have pulled the new moon in Aries. It's time to take action. And again, right, it's going to be up to you to get that situation under control, whatever that situation is. It says, don't even think about giving up. It says, do your best and be happy with that, which is, the best you can do. And it says, avoid being brash right now, which is important. And then you need a 12-month plan. I looked at that and thought, yeah, right. And then it says, a new male is coming into your life. All right, Scorp. Here's your overall. Oh boy. That may be why the Lovers is the overall. Now for some of you, absolutely, it's going to have to do with a very significant relationship and a choice that you may have to make. For some of you, it's a major life choice. It may have to do with something that you love, but again, it's temptation or moral high ground here. Oh boy. All right. In the past, the Ace of Pentacles. So in the past, there is this opportunity for something realistic, something that, can be sustainable in your life, continued growth. I love the Ace of Pentacles. That's got to be my favorite out of all the aces. But is this opportunity coming back around, And do you have to make a major choice in your life in order to take advantage of this opportunity? In the present, the Eight of Pentacles, for some of you, absolutely, it's going to have to do with work and career, and what you love. With the Eight of Pentacles in the present moment, this is you busting your ass, putting in a lot of effort, paying attention to the details. I look at the Eight of Pentacles and I think this is someone who clearly knows what they're doing, but generally it's somebody who is happy with the work that they're doing. Now for some of you, it's just you've been working, but do you feel like you're getting anywhere, right? We'll have to see what's going on here. But now, if we are talking about this in terms of a love situation, I don't like the Eight of Pentacles when it comes to love, because it should be effortless. We don't ever expect to get into relationships where it's too much work. So, are you continuing to do this because you want to have this opportunity and you look at it as realistic, or, is this something that you don't want to put the effort into anymore? Regardless, though, the Lovers, that's pretty big. Okay, now, future conditions, the Queen of Wands. So I look at this and I think if we are talking about love, okay, and we're talking about, a connection that you may feel with another person right now, this looks like you're really putting in effort here to try to get them to notice you. And I only say that because of the Queen of Wands being in future conditions. Now, on the other hand, some of you may have been doing a lot of self-work, absolutely. With the Queen of Wands being future conditions, we can be talking about a person, could be fire, could be male, female, it doesn't matter to me. But if I'm looking at this in terms of you and how you're looking at that person, I look at this as you are putting yourself out there in such a way that you're hoping that they notice. That, or some of you are more focused on yourselves right now, and the attention that is coming through, I don't know if it was something that you intended, and that may be through a work situation, which is possible. But we're still talking about this opportunity coming through with the Ace of Pentacles. Interesting. Okay, your best path to follow, the Three of Cups. Now, if we're talking about this in terms of advice, especially with the Queen of Wands being there, for some of you, especially if you are single and you're wanting to have a relationship, this could be that, you need to go out and have a good time. You need to start putting yourself out there, right? And with the Queen of Wands, absolutely, you're doing it. But I don't know. It reminded me of Let Your Friends Help from the Romance Angels, seeing this. That's immediately what I felt when I seen that. Like, okay, so are your friends going to help you in relationships in terms of getting your ass out there and putting you in front of someone in particular? With the Three of Cups, we're talking about support, friendship. I don't necessarily see this as gossip, although that could be the case, but it's your advice, though, and that's the thing, But I also look at that and think, if you're going to make a major choice, whether it's in your career, whether it's in relationships, it's important to make sure that you have support for the choice that you're going to make. And it's not saying that, you can't make decisions for yourself, but maybe this one is too big that, you need to at least have some confirmation, I think is the best way to put that. And if we are looking at the Queen of Wands in terms of career, I look at this as an opportunity coming through based on your hard work for you to move up or elevate. I look at her and think that she has freedom of movement when it comes to work, right? So I look at her as like a supervisor, a manager, things like that. So some of you may be elevating your status here. And there may be, this support for you to take a position. But again, with the Lovers, we're talking about, a really big choice in your life, right? Wow, Scorp. I feel both. I feel both. In your environment, the Two of Swords. So, this is something that you've been looking at and going, I don't know if this is, really the right choice for me. And I think that may be where we need to turn to people who support you and care about you. And they may help you, make the right choice here or guide you in making, the right decision. And again, it makes me feel like, going back to your Oracle cards, that this is a situation that is coming into your life here that you're going to have to make a choice on whether or not this is something that is going to be fair and balanced for you. And again, with the Ace of Pentacles, we're talking about an opportunity that should be for, the long term. But I look at the Two of Swords and think, for some of you, you may be fine with where you're at right now. So it may be one of those situations where you're going to be given an opportunity here based on your hard work. But with the Two of Swords, it's almost like, well, I'm used to being in this spot. I don't know if I really want to take on that responsibility, but you fit into it well because of her coming out. So for those of you who are looking at career choices, I think that your status is being elevated. You're taking a higher position here. You are definitely going to be taking on more responsibility, but the Queen of Wands is saying that you're more than capable of handling it. But I think that the Two of Swords in your environment is you going, well, I don't know. And that, like I said, may be why we're needing to seek the advice of people who support you. Your hopes and your fears, the Six of Pentacles. It's interesting to me how the Lovers is the overall here. And I don't think that anything going on around you has to do with love at all. For some of you, absolutely it can. And we'll spin it that way. But let me continue on the career path here because, you look like you're headed into a place where it's going to be well suited for you. I think there's some hesitancy, and that may be a confidence issue, which, it's funny because I've been getting that feeling for Scorpio for a little bit. But looking at the Six of Pentacles, before I get too far off track here, as far as hopes and fears, if you're putting in a shit ton of work, it better be worth, what you're receiving, right? The payout better be worth it. And I think that for some of you, the hard choice that needs to be made in terms of this is whether or not you're going to receive what, is owed to you based on what you're capable of, Like, I literally see a lot of you putting in like these resumes, and I look at this as like references almost, right? And some of you may be having like a really difficult time on making a choice in terms of career moves, but the Six of Pentacles is a clear indicator here that it better be worth what you're capable of. Some of you may be looking at it going, I don't know if I want to take a pay cut, which absolutely can be what's going on. Now, let's spin this in terms of love before we get to the outcome here. So, with the Lovers being the overall here, there is a lot of looking at things from a practical perspective here. It has to be worth your time. It has to be worth, your effort, obviously. But it's got to produce something, and it's got to be fair, and it's got to be balanced. And, again, you got the scales showing up here. I do think, though, that for a lot of you, it may be an opportunity here to grab the attention of a person that, are they too much work? Is it too much effort? But this could absolutely be them noticing you or you noticing them. But I think it's more so about you. But, is it worth the effort? Is it worth putting the effort into? Because again, we're looking at the Ace of Pentacles. This isn't just about hooking up with somebody and that's it. Very much like the tarot, for crying out loud, very much like the tarot of sexual magic. The Ace of Pentacles is going to be more than that, right? But it's like an opportunity with somebody comes back around, but I don't know that you feel comfortable with putting in the effort toward it. But again, the Queen of Wands coming out, it's either a confidence issue or you are being noticed. But did you have to put in a lot of hard work to get noticed? And is it worth it then? Going back to the Six of Pentacles, are you actually going to get anything out of this? And I still go back to this and think your closest friends right now are going to be your strongest allies in choices in love. They may be the ones that are helping you out. They may be the ones that can give you clarity where you can't find it. But then again, like I said, also in terms of work, it's the same thing. Wow, Scorpio, the hell? Oh my God, fuck. The devil, really? Why? And then I think, because I'm going back to the Eight of Pentacles with the Two of Swords here, and I think if you're having a hard time making a choice in someone in particular, and like there's a part of you that knows that this isn't going to go anywhere, or that you're not going to get the long term that you want, it would make sense that you would be looking at it as just a temptation. But the thing is are you doing it though anyway? So this reminds me of, something that we tell people all the time, right? Nothing is ever set in stone. I made the mistake of believing that everything was set the way that it came out when I was younger and I first started messing around with tarot, right? And it was so detrimental to me. And I feel like I need to remind a lot of you of that. Nothing is ever set in stone. It does not have to go this way. So the first thing that you have is the Two of Pentacles. This is an opportunity that you've been playing with for a while. And I think that for some of you, absolutely, it could have been that this was something that you were waiting for. Like all of a sudden somebody becomes single and you're like, oh, okay, so that opportunity is there now. But I think what you're wanting is something more than what this person can give with the devil coming out. But you're following through on a temptation here with the Fool. And I worry about that a little bit. But I also think that some of you are having a hard time with this and a hard time, seeing it for what it is with the Two of Swords. But, I look at that and think, are you looking at yourself like you're being a fool? Maybe it's not worth the risk. But what I worry about here is with the Three of Swords ultimately coming out, because, it would make sense that the devil would be breaking your heart. So this may be for some of you that have a thing for a bad boy, seriously, or a bad girl, right? Whatever the case may be. But I don't like the fact that we're looking at the Three of Swords coming out with the devil. And the thing is that there is a part of you right now that knows better, that maybe this isn't worth putting the effort into. Now, in terms of work, and again, I kind of go back to this feeling of, I can elevate my status for sure here with the Queen of Wands. And I do think that in terms of work that you're going to have a very nice fit into a position. The problem is that it may not be what it was cracked up to be. But I think that you knew, though, because if we're talking about choices, I think that you knew that, there is a part of this that you weren't going to be happy with, or that was going to disappoint you or hurt you in some way with the Three of Swords. But, if you are in a place where you're trying to balance out finances right now, it may be that you're just kind of fuck it, I have to do this, you go for it, but you're not quite happy with it. Oh my goodness. Right? And then the chaos and the conflict continues. But again, responsibility for actions, But I think that the people who truly care about you and support you are going to be your greatest allies right now. I see that with the Three of Cups more than anything. Now, if we're talking about this in terms of, because here's the thing, I don't like to create conflict that's not there. I say this all the time when I do my readings. I need to see more to indicate that we're talking about third-party situations and things like that. Because you have the Three of Swords coming out. The Three of Cups in this case would be you need to be careful about getting involved in emotional affairs and taking it one step too far. Especially with the devil being there and you knowing that this may not be a good situation for you. You don't want to be the third party, right? But I don't know, I still see this more so as your friends are going to be the ones that are going to tell you, the truth, so to speak, because you can't see it right now. And then you have speak your truth. All right. So I like flourish because this is saying that, all areas in your life can flourish. You can flourish, especially even when you're being put in a really difficult situation. Okay. There is going to be a new path that's going to emerge here, but you're going to have to speak your truth and speak up about what you see in terms of this new path. And again, I go back to that Ace of Pentacles, and I think this isn't just about you getting caught up in an emotion or a passion. This is you looking at a relationship or a job opportunity as something that is realistic and practical and should be long-term in your life. But unfortunately, that is not where it goes. But if you're truthful and honest about that, you could avoid all that shit. All of it. So you need to speak up before you jump headfirst into something and then end up being heartbroken. And I have to say that what I've been noticing more so than anything with Scorpio is that there have been clear warnings for a lot of you here lately about getting involved with a certain situation or a certain person, that it's not going to be what you think. So I feel like all of this is leading up to a situation where some of you may end up heartbroken, but some of you may see this and avoid it, hopefully. But speaking up or speaking your truth is going to be more important when it comes to this new path, because you want something to flourish. You don't want something to, fall flat, right? And you don't want to be hurt in the long run. And then look at your pattern in relationships. No fucking shit. Scorpio. It requires inner strength to recognize that you need to change or modify your behavior. That is so important, so important. When I see this show up for people, and we're talking about a love situation, especially with the lovers being the overall, you are running the risk of repeating a pattern that you know is no good, right? And it requires a lot of inner strength to recognize that you're doing something that you know isn't healthy for you, you know is not going to be good for you. And I think that I love you is you need to say I love you to you, right? Now, for some of you, it could be you need to say I love you, peace out. I'm not doing it, especially if it's going to repeat a pattern that you know is not going to bring you anything good. Oh, Scorpio, I'm telling you, there has been a very clear warning for some of you, especially when it comes to relationships. Now, again, it is a general message. It's not going to be for everybody. You guys know how that goes. But I feel like this plays both ways. We're not just talking about a relationship in your life, but we're also talking about your career as well. The both of them could be intermingling. And we could be talking about possibly an affair at work, which is no, right? But we could also be talking about, something that is separate from your work situation here. Either way, there are some difficult choices you are going to have to make in your life. Don't put yourself in a position where you are a third party. Ask for the support of the people who actually give a shit about you, okay? They are going to give you the clarity that you cannot see right now. And especially for those of you who are looking at wanting to grab the attention of somebody that is not healthy for you. But man, you guys are definitely going to have to let me know on this one. But look at your patterns in relationships. Break those patterns. If you want something better, you want something long-term, stop going after the temptation.